Look at this. The room's already full.
What's going on, guys? Thank you for tuning into another episode of Hey Yo Foxboro. I am your host, of course, Sara Marshall, and I am joined once again by Mr. Murph, the infamous, the man, the myth, the legend. My first guest ever. He is back.
I came back.
With us today.
I came back.
Yes, I know. Well, I think that was like this is only like the fourth or fifth episode or something like that. But
something like that.
I think that you were my most popular one so far.
No, wow.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, thank
people
you.
Really liked you.
Thank you, people. Thank you. Wait till you get to know me. You won't like me at all.
Well, and I want to mention too, because I tweeted about this, but so I don't know if people saw it. I just did. But I got this T-shirt from Homage. I tagged them on Twitter. So I don't need any more Patriots T-shirts, but I don't know if you've come across if you buy just like a T-shirt or whatever, it's that really gross material that does not feel soft.
Ew, yeah.
These are so soft. So I posted pictures. It's a Randy Moss T-shirt. They just came out with a bunch of NFL stuff. So check them out because I need to get all of them. But the thing that's the most exciting to me is that I'm not breaking out in hives because of the fabric. Because that's what happens. That's why I'm like, I can't buy these T-shirts unless I know that they're soft. So
right. I have the opposite effect. I do not like the stretchy cotton T-shirts. I like a thick, heavy T-shirt that is probably the opposite of what you're praising right now.
Yes, it is. Because I know it's like, of course, I just need another something wrong with me, but I have a skin sensitivity that my mom found out when I was like a really little baby. So literally, I will break out in hives with certain fabrics. Like I can't wear those.
Are you one of those kids that needs a special detergent?
No, thankfully.
Oh, okay.
It just depends on a lot of the seams of fabrics and whatever. Like I have to try on everything before I buy it because otherwise it's a mess. So I had to mention that because I didn't tweet it, but it's so soft, guys. It's exciting.
Stand up, let's see it.
But also, I posted a picture. So it's just a Randy Moss.
Ooh.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
They have a bunch of other ones too. I posted them on Twitter so you can see a better photo. But it's a good thing and a bad thing. Because I love that they're soft. Bad thing for my wallet.
Yep.
When I'm gonna buy the entire store. But
anyway, there went that income tax check refund on T-shirts.
Yeah. No, I know that's a problem for me.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I want to get into all of the news of the last couple of days because I usually am supposed to be going live on Mondays, but yesterday it was my turn to not feel well. This weekend it was Murph's turn to not feel well. And then it was my turn. So I didn't get to talk about some of this stuff. So yes, some of it is maybe old news to you guys, but I just want to express my opinion.
Yeah.
I want to hear Murph's opinion.
Go for it.
So let's go because today, actually, it was just an hour ago that the teams had to be down to 80 players. So this kind of goes into play with that. So Dalton Keene, I feel out of all of the cuts that we were inevitably going to be hearing about, this is the least shocking.
Yeah.
But other than, of course, there's a lot of people who are disappointed because it's like, oh, Belichick can't draft another wasted draft pick, blah, blah, blah. And that's their disappointment. I'm more so disappointed in the what could have been with him. I wrote about him in my article for Musket Fire a week or two ago, saying how they could have developed him on the team and how it could be a super impactful guy on the team if they could figure that out. And now that is not happening.
No.
So how are you feeling? I'm assuming you weren't shocked, but were you kind of disappointed in the same way?
Yeah, a bit. I was kind of happy with these with the draft that round of the draft that year. Was it 2019?
2019
when they went back to back with Assy and him. What they actually did, people are getting on Bill for trading up to get both of these guys.
Yeah.
What Bill did was he moved up to get two guys that he thought were going to be able to contribute and get rid of draft picks later in that draft. There just wasn't enough cap space for all the draft picks that they had that year. So he's like, okay, well, let's just move up and get this. Keene just didn't work out. You cannot make this team if you were constantly hurt and you were constantly in the tub. We've heard it time and time again. The best ability is availability, and this kid just was never available. He was
and it's
never
weird
available
because, you know, I've said it a million times. I'm not a college football watcher,
right.
but he was never injured in college. Like, he never
No.
dealt with that, and he played really well. He had a really good season his last year, so it was kind of surprising that, like, it was just a complete opposite. So when people are saying that it's a wasted draft pick, it's like, based on how you're feeling now, but at the time it didn't look like a bad pick.
No, it did not. It did not feel like a bad pick, and I thought they were guys that both him and Asiasi that were going to be able to come in here and contribute right away, and it just didn't contribute at all.
Yeah.
No, I don't believe Keene ever saw the field.
No, he did. He played in 6 games.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he was at least active for 6 games.
Okay, he was active for 6 games. All right.
I had the stats. It was like for only like 23 yards or something like that. But yeah, he actually did. I was shocked too, because when I was writing about him, I had to look it up. I was like, has he ever really taken the field? But yeah, no, he was actually active for 6 games.
Okay, well, bravo.
But since we're talking about him too, do you think that Asiasi might be next? Do you think he might end up on the team?
No, I really don't. I think he's going to be out on the outside looking in. They've given him plenty of run in these 2 games. I'm not seeing anything that makes it worth a roster spot that Bill could use somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know, and the reason that you know I feel this way is because we need a spot for little Jordan Humphrey on this team.
Yes. I know we're going to get into that too.
Yeah.
Yes. I know. Yeah. And he's the one that said, you know, I have been on top of hills with certain players that I ended up dying for, Cam Newton being one of them. But right now, the new one is little Jordan Humphrey. And from what I'm seeing other people talking about, I'm not alone. So we're going to get to that in a second, because I can talk about him all day long.
Yeah.
So since we're talking about, you know, cutting down, there's a lot of rumors going around too about trades, which I don't necessarily agree with some of these, but the rumor over the weekend was that the Patriots were interested in trading Isaiah Wynn. And then Greg Bedard started the rumor about them looking into trading Kendrick Bourne. So first, let's do this one at a time, because I feel like it's polar opposites. So it was reported too that the Patriots, a source close to the Patriots, shut down the trade about Isaiah Wynn. So I don't anticipate this happening. I don't blame people for wanting it or whatever, but they're already lacking depth on the offensive line. Right. I don't really know why you would even consider trading him when he could at least be a rotating piece if he's not a starter.
Right. Isaiah Wynn is under contract for a measly $10 million. You do not find a starting caliber right tackle or left tackle, for that matter, for $10 million, people. If you watched the game on Friday night, it was abhorrently apparent that this team needs all the depth on the offensive line that it can possibly have. If you are trading an offensive lineman, you're not going to get one back unless they're going to get a guard back and kick away you back outside. I don't see this happening. I really don't. And with all the issues that are plaguing this offensive line right now, because these guys just cannot get on the same page with this new Shanahanian blocking scheme that they are trying to employ, which I believe is probably going to get scrapped in the next week or two, next week or so. I really do, because these guys just do not get it. And not that I could walk in there and get it, you know. But,
I know. We're all experts from the couch, though. I mean, let's be honest. We're all
experts from the couch. And believe me, I was an offensive lineman for a very long time. This is not an easy scheme to pick up for the offensive line. For everybody else, sure.
Yeah.
Everyone else, no problem.
Yeah.
But if you've been blocking in one fashion your entire life, and then somebody asks you to come in here and stretch out the way that they're asking these guys to, it's not easy to pick up. But no, I don't see this trade happening. I think I think it's much to do about nothing, and a lot of cap people trying to clear $10 million worth of space in one svelte move.
Well, and they didn't have to re-sign him. They didn't pick up his 5th-year option, and then they offered him another year contract anyway. So if like, I understand that maybe he hasn't performed up to what people were hoping he would, especially as a first-round pick. I get it, but I would assume that at least Belichick sees something in him that he likes, because you don't just pay a guy $10 million for no reason. I mean,
That's it.
And then, so on to Kendrick Bourne. So, of course, I said Greg Bedard is the one who started this over the weekend on whatever show, saying that it started with the fight, of course, where he got kicked out of practice last week, which should he have been doing that? No. But in a way, he was justified, in my opinion, because of what happened with Wilkerson.
Right.
That was his reaction to that. Wilkerson, if you didn't know, was knocked out, knocked unconscious, and then is now dealing with a concussion. So that was Kendrick's reaction to that play. He got kicked out. And then it seems like the repercussions of that was that he wasn't allowed to play in the game on Friday. But Bedard was trying to say it was actually because he has a bad attitude. That his uniform was there and like in his locker, and it seemed like it was more so Bourne's decision not to play, which I thought that was just bizarre. And seeing that he's very unhappy with the new offense, blah blah blah, and that he would not be surprised if the Patriots were interested in trading him. I think it's ridiculous. If I'm honest,
it is. You could have ended this with Greg Bedard said.
Okay? Yeah, exactly.
That's it. You just end it with Greg Bedard said, and we can move on to the next subject. I have heard the complete opposite. That Kendrick Bourne loves this offense. He was happy. It was the offense that was ran in San Francisco. He's very familiar with it, very enamored of it.
That's the biggest shock of it too. Like, he's coming from a Shanahan offense. Right. So what would his issue be?
It wasn't like he was begging out of San Francisco. He was happy to come here because he wasn't getting used in San Francisco. He's stuck behind Deebo Samuel, and they both ended up, working in the same manner. Yeah. And I just don't get it. I don't know where Greg is coming from. I don't believe he's out here lying or making up anything. But just to be heard. But no, I don't believe it. And Brian Martin right here, our man Brian, is absolutely right. And he's the number 2 wide receiver on this team. Actually, if you get into it, I think he'll be the most productive wide receiver in this offense this year. Yeah,
and that was a point I wanted to make too. So thank you, Brian, for mentioning it. I think that people are forgetting that he was only a few yards behind Jacoby Myers for the season last year, but had far more touchdowns. So even though we know Belichick isn't the type of guy that's loyal to players and like keeps them around no matter what, I just find it very hard to believe that in only his second season, he's going to be getting rid of Kendrick Bourne for allegedly having an attitude.
Who's on a fantastic contract for the Patriots. I don't know the numbers off. You guys go ask Miguel Benzan, Pat's cap, what his contract, but it's a very team-friendly deal that he's here on. And there have been these rumors, for weeks. First it was Nelson Aguilar, and now it's Kendrick Bourne. The only person that hasn't been brought up is to be traded from the wide receivers room is Jacoby Myers. So I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up going.
Well, and I actually saw some people talk about it. I don't know if it became a big thing, but some people were like, he has the easiest movable contract, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you guys, if it was coming from a place of thinking that they were going to get a massive return, then it would seem more understandable. But it does seem, like you said, more so of cap moves. And how's that going to benefit them right now?
That's it.
So Mac was asked about Bourne. I don't know in what capacity, like how the question was asked, but he was asked about Kendrick Bourne today. He was there in Vegas, if people did not know. The only people who didn't go to Vegas was Thornton and
Right.
Wilkerson. So
Wilkerson.
Max said, I love Kendrick. He's working hard. The plays will come. You never know when your time will come. KB is still positive, and we're happy to have him on our team.
Yep.
So I don't know if it was the way the question was asked or he's definitely hearing what people are saying, but I think that speaks a lot to what we've been talking about.
Right. Right. And that's a good point, Brian. Yeah, he does love a fighter. He'll throw him off the field, but he's smiling while he's throwing him off the field. Yeah, Ninkovich and Logan Mankins did throw down that day, and Ninkovich was on the bubble that pushed him right off the bubble and into an eventual starting spot.
Well, and that's the thing is, like, obviously we don't know how players are all the time.
Right.
But I haven't seen anything negative from Bourne at all. If anything, he's smiling too much. He's like the Kemba Walker of the Patriots. It's like you never catch him not smiling. So thinking that he had some sort of attitude, I was like, I don't know about that. But
I don't know. The only thing I can think of that put him in a doghouse was back on draft night when the Patriots made their first round pick and they drafted Dr. Strange, and he jumped into the camera view. He was at Mac Jones's house and said, "What are you doing? What, Bill? What are you doing?" Looking at all the talent that was there, and he went and drafted a guard.
And that's the thing. That was like all of our reaction. So
well, it wasn't mine.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of people.
I'm the only person that had Bill drafting Cole Strange, and I'll keep patting myself on the back for it because I've been doing this for 15 years and I've only gotten 2 picks right.
Well, I mean, you should take that one because everybody else was like, "What is this?"
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know players, so I was just like, "Get a defensive guy," but I don't know anything. So continuing with the wide receivers, we briefly talked about Thornton being injured. It was reported that he had a shoulder injury, which then turned into a collarbone injury. They believe he will be out for up to 8 weeks.
Yep.
So
it's going to be longer. It's going to be longer, people.
Yeah, and so obviously, in order for if people are not aware, he will likely make the final 53 team and then be placed on IR. That way, his season is not over. So if you do see somebody, like we're going to talk about in just a second, little Jordan Humphrey get cut, don't freak out yet because he could be added back.
He's not.
Okay. Well,
I'm telling you now, I feel it's not because he's not going to pass through waivers. So there's no way that little Jordan Humphrey does not make the 52. He's not going to pass through waivers. So the cut has to come somewhere else. Now, this just happened. Ronnie Perkins just got put on IR for the year. I'm sorry, I don't mean to step on you. Okay. Your show, your name on top.
It's okay.
But Ronnie Perkins just got put on IR. This really hurts. I loved the Ronnie Perkins draft pick. I loved what he did in college. Like Sara, I'm not a huge college football fan. College football exists simply to give me game film to look at before the draft. And I loved the film on this kid. And I'm not sure what he's not getting that he can't get on the field. Yeah,
I know. And that was literally just broke before we got on here. Andrew Stuber is also on the non-football injury list, but that does not end his season. So I know a lot of people were high up on Perkins, and it was going to be a stiff competition with linebackers too because they have so many. So I don't know. Did they say what he injured? I just know they.
Nope. No idea what was injured. I have not seen yet what it was. Maybe somebody in the chat room knows more than we do. That's usually the case whenever I'm on a show, that somebody in the chat rooms knows more than me. But I have not heard what it is. Let us know. Brian, I was really high on him too. He's a fantastic athlete. He brought everything to this set of linebackers that was missing last year. And I had really hoped that the year redshirting that he got to sit behind some of the people that he did was going to elevate his game, and he was going to hit the ground running this year. It just hasn't happened. And maybe this is why. Maybe there's an injury that we don't know about that hasn't been talked about because, of course, nobody has to report anything now.
Yeah. I'm sure Mike Reese will come out with something, shortly. So with Thornton's injury, this kind of ties into Humphrey. But before we get into that, people were mentioning when the news broke about him being out for 8 weeks, they were saying that they weren't surprised because when he was, originally drafted, people were concerned about how,
Right.
Thin he was, tall and lanky. Do you think that has anything to do with the injury, or was it just kind of like a freaky thing? It just happened.
Oh, I sure do. I think his frame does not lend well to longevity in this league. That was one of the things that shocked so many people. It's not the fact that he's not talented enough to be a second round pick or even a third round pick. It was the fact that he's so svelte and he's going up against monsters now that he did not face in college. And what do you know? The first time he gets gang tackled to the ground, he breaks.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see if he is the body type that can easily gain weight, because this is his opportunity to. And sometimes that's just how their body is. He's just tall and lanky and he can't gain weight for anything. So I think this is definitely his opportunity to try and do that if that is what happened. But I do think this might open the door for Humphrey. Although, we talked about tight ends with Keene earlier. There's a lot of talk about him being used as a tight end, and Belichick even kind of alluded to it after the game on Friday, saying he's very tight endish, blah, 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 whatever else he quote is. But so do you like that idea? Because it looks like it's going to be Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith. Keene's already out. If Asiasi's probably out, I don't know that Sokol's going to make the team. Do you think that Little Jordan will be on the team as a receiver or a tight end?
He'll be listed as a receiver, but he's going to run a lot of tight end stuff. He's going to run a lot of that Joker stuff that he who shall not be named ran back in the day, Aaron Hernandez, for those people that are wondering. I've said this from the day that the kid was drafted, that he has tight end written all over him. And when he came here, I reiterated it. I said it on Mike Diabate's show, Locked on Patriots, when he was brought in. I've been on this forever. I think he's a perfect move tight end. And but you're going to see him listed as a receiver. He's just gonna run those plays. He's just gonna run those plays.
I think it's really exciting because we've seen such greatness from him in these preseason games and through camp, and sometimes that can be a little deceiving. But you can tell that he's passionate and trying to get a role on this team. And I think the fact that a lot of Patriots fans are ready for him to be on the team, defending him, like excited about him, I feel like that's really cool for him too. And it's like, can this be the one time that Belichick actually kind of listens to the fans? Like not necessarily like takes our opinions, but can we have something that we all collectively want? Because that does not happen often at all.
He's not. And people, I've heard a lot of people talk about how he's been excelling against the number twos. He ran against number ones in week one. Okay. And week one of against the Giants, he was out there running against ones and he looked just fine. I think he's going to be a real asset to this team all year long. And I love the fact that Belichick is already talking about him being a tight endage type player.
Yeah. And I think people forget, too, that he's not a rookie, that he actually has already played for the Saints. And he hasn't played a full season, but that wasn't from injury or anything. It was just the Saints, were just moving him up and down. An idiot. Yeah, and I remember him from last year from watching a Saints game or two. Like, I remember being like, oh, who's this guy, And I remember even the commentators were like, they didn't really know anything about him either. So, I think people forget that, like, okay, he might not be necessarily getting all of the reps against the number ones, but he's played in an NFL game. So, like, he doesn't necessarily need it all.
Anybody out there that's confused that about his name, it's not the fact that he's small. It's not. His his older brother named him after Michael Jordan.
Yeah, and I think that's cool. Like, you call him LJ, little. I think it's a cool name. So
so it's great. I think he's a fantastic ball player, and I think he's going to win a game or two for us. And another target for Mac to have, a guy that gets open and moves the chains, is just what this team needs. And I think he fits the bill.
And speaking of Mac Jones, have you seen what Mike Tannenbaum has said about him recently?
No, please fill me
So,
in.
yeah, he was on I don't even remember what radio show he was on. He's been making the rounds, but
Yeah.
he believes that Mac Jones is a future MVP. Not necessarily this year, but in general. So I'll read a couple quotes
Okay.
in why he believes this. He said he had a great year last year. He went toe to toe with Tom Brady, got his team to the playoffs. He played well in that playoff game. That kind of, I was scratching my head a little bit. I had to go back and
Yeah.
look at those stats because I was like, brother, I don't know if I remember that
Yeah.
great,
Yeah.
whatever. He does think that they're going to figure out the play calling situation and that's going to be figured out, which you kind of alluded to anyway a little bit ago, saying you think that they'll probably scrap it, which I mean, I kind of talked about that as well. If it's not working still, Belichick is not just going to sit on an offense that's not productive. So
he's not. He's just not.
Yeah, and so he did talk that he thinks that Mac is the most likely out of the quarterbacks drafted in the 2021 draft to
without a
be
doubt.
MVP.
Yeah.
And he believes he is the second best quarterback in the AFC East, that they'll be going to the playoffs this year and going to exceed expectations. Now, if people don't know who Mike Tannenbaum is, just to clarify for people who don't know, he is a former GM for the Jets and the Dolphins. So he doesn't have to be saying these nice things. There's no connection there. If anything, he hates the Patriots. So I was a little bit surprised about this because some of the stuff I was like, I don't know, sir, because he's like, they have a great offensive line and whatever. And I'm like, sir,
Mike is from Needham. He grew up a Patriots fan. So, there's that. Mm-hmm. But he does have a decent eye for talent. He doesn't always have a decent eye for picking a head coach. I'll put it that way. And a lot of the guys that he chose over the years did not work out simply because, when you're a Jet all the way from the first fumbled snap to the last bungled play. But other than that, it's an opinion that has a little bit of credence to it, an opinion that I respect. And Mac is the best quarterback that came out of that draft. I said it that night. I wanted him to fall to the Patriots. I was in a draft room with a lot of very I won't put anybody under the bus, but a lot of people that you folks out here follow and respect that were, asking for the Fields medal, or, it was just, this is the kid that was going to come in here and take this offense under his wing and be able to do stuff with it. He's a smart, he's an intelligent ball player that sees the field really well and knows how to hit the open man. And just to go back to when we're talking about different offensive coordinators, and this is his second offensive coordinator in 2 years. He had three different offensive coordinators in Alabama in 3 years.
Yeah,
okay?
He talked about that again today. Yeah.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah, and he spoke to WEEI after the practice.
Okay, well, see, that's why I don't listen to EEI. Good on you.
I just read the quotes. Okay,
all right.
But yeah, I think that's something too. Like, I didn't know that because I don't watch college football. So I'm like, when you hear that, it's like, okay, that's nice. And I didn't necessarily agree with everything that Tannenbaum says, but I took all of it because, especially when it comes to the media covering the Patriots, whether they're Boston media or not, it's always negative. So I'm like, the fact that we have somebody that has some respect in the NFL world saying these types of things, I'm like, I'm going to take it all day long because we don't hear it enough.
Because it's few and far between.
It's doomsday every day.
Yeah. It's just look, I've said this before, okay? You take a look at the last 5 years of the New England Patriots, okay? They lost Flo, to Miami. Flo decimated the coaching staff then. Then the year after that, they lost Rob Gronkowski. And the year after that, they lost Tom Brady. The year after that, they lost Julian Edelman, arguably the three best players to ever play their positions in the NFL. Okay, you find me somebody that's a better slot receiver than Julian Edelman, and I'll buy you dinner. And then the year after that, they lose Josh McDaniels, who also strips this entire coaching staff down. what Bill has had to deal with over the past 5 years is almost unprecedented.
Yeah.
Almost unprecedented in the terms of talent lost and coaching ability lost. These guys all went out the door, and now he's trying to compartmentalize these the remaining coaches that he has and use guys. So Mac is not dealing with another loss of a coordinator to a head coaching job, which is what would have happened if Bill O'Brien had been brought in here, which everybody is screaming about. But why didn't you get Bill O'Brien? Why didn't you get Bill? Bill would have been here for a year. Okay, that's it. And then he would have been off, and he would have been offered another head coaching job, and that would have been it. There's no end in sight for Bill. He has no intention of walking away from this team until he wins another Super Bowl, until he passes Shula. That's not happening. And one last thing, who was it that taught Bill O'Brien the Alabama offense when Bill O'Brien went to Alabama? Anybody know out there? Anyone? Bueller? It was Mac Jones. Mac Jones taught Bill O'Brien the offense at Alabama. So I have no problems. They've just got to figure out this entire Shanahan offense and just push it to the side because it's not working. If Dante Scarnecchia was still here, we'd be clicking on a lot of cylinders here. But right now, it's not happening.
Yeah, and they didn't look very good in practice today either. So if we want to get into practice, they had their first joint practice with the Raiders today. They flew in yesterday and had a solo practice. I don't know. I don't believe media was allowed yesterday. Or no, they were, but nothing super serious.
Right.
So like I said, all but Thornton and Wilkerson were there. Julian Edelman also made an appearance there today as he's making the rounds promoting his first episode of his new podcast, which should never have been his first episode. It's painful. I don't know if you saw it, but it's the 18-1 season. I'm like, no, why did you have to come out with that one first? I never watched that.
No, didn't watch it. Not gonna watch it.
Yeah. No,
just too many painful memories there.
Yeah, I know. No, I haven't rewatched that game since it happened. So I'm like, other people being like, "Oh, I've rewatched it." I'm like, "Do you not? Do you not recall the pain and the suffering you endured?"
Right.
Like I can still hear my mother's scream. Like that is still in my brain. I don't want to watch that again and relive that. I don't know how people do that. So there was one thing that I wanted to keep note of because the Patriots did not look very good today. But one of the reporters, I can't remember who it was, wanted to make sure we all remember that the Raiders have been practicing for a week longer than the Patriots.
Yeah, that was
whether or not that means anything, I don't know. But I wanted to make sure to mention it because they a week is a significant amount of time when you're practicing. Yeah, so even if people find that to be an excuse, I still think it's valid.
You're in a week better shape. You're a week better into your book. The reason the Raiders got this is because they had a change at the head coaching level, and the league allows that to happen. They get to start practicing a week earlier than everybody else does. But yeah, a week's time is a significant amount of time. Any hours are significant, never mind days or a week. So yeah, it still goes to show you that the doom and gloom out of a lot of the reporters here, there's just no patience. There's just no patience. And I do believe the team should be better. But like I said, Isaiah Wynn just got back today. He took his red shirt off that he was wearing at practice yesterday. He's wearing a non-contact red jersey. And he hasn't practiced in 2 weeks. So let's give this time. This all starts at the offensive line. I keep harping on this until the offensive line gets it. It looks ugly everywhere else. Yeah, it really does. And I'm just waiting. You hear good things when we hear that. Yeah, they emptied the backfield and spread things out, and Mac was able to find the open man and hit him. Those are the good part. Those are the things that he does well. Give this a little bit of time to this offensive line to gel together, the pieces to be in in the spots where they're supposed to be,
Mm-hmm.
and watch it take off.
Yeah, I mean, they're still cutting players. So,
Yeah.
I mean, they just had another player go to IR today who was looking good. So that's a hit for the defense. And they have this guy going here and this guy going here. Like, until they have everybody solidified in their spots, then it's
Yep.
like, it's great that there are teams that are looking good already. But a lot of them that are guys that they're not really trying to figure out, okay, this guy's going to be here, this guy's going to be here. It's like, no, these are who we're trying to, rotate out in a receiver or two. It's like, the Raiders already have their top guys. They're not trying to evaluate receivers really. It's like they have Devontae Adams and
Right.
Renfro. They have Waller. Like, what are they worried about? They have Josh Jacobs. Like, there's plenty of guys
Yep.
there that they don't have to worry about. So other than the offense, which we'll get to in a second, the Patriots defense struggled a little bit, particularly the cornerbacks in 1v1s. But like one of the reporters said, that you kind of can't really like think too much about that because it's 1v1. That's not
Right.
how it would be in a game.
It's not.
So it's
Right.
like, and they're competing against, or they're trying to stop a Devontae Adams. Devontae
Right.
Adams is like the best receiver in the league. So
What
I
is
mean,
what is yeah, what is, discount double choke done for the past 5 years when he sees Devontae Adams one-on-one? How many battles has Devontae Adams lost one-on-one on the field during games? We're talking about one-on-ones in practice.
yeah.
In practice.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna happen. You aren't going to win that battle. It's not. That's why we have help over the top, people.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and a defensive line. Like, there's
Right.
there's all these guys in place for
Right.
a reason. And then I think people are forgetting too. I know it's just practice, but that game in December, the Raiders-Patriots game, is gonna be tough because it's McDaniels, who is
Yep.
like born and bred by Belichick against Belichick. There's no two guys in the league that know each other better than that. So it's going to
Right.
be a crazy game no matter what. And I'm sure that there might be a little bit of that coming into practice because it's the first time they're matching up and seeing each other since
Right.
McDaniels left. So
Excellent point.
the offense was a struggle again. I wanted to talk about the 2-minute drill for just breaking it down. So Hunter Henry did return to practice today, which is good because people were concerned about him. So there was a complete to him, then incomplete, third down conversion to Jacoby Myers, sack. This is all for Mac Jones. Deep completion to Devontae Parker, which is good. I'm glad we're hearing his name again because he was kind of silent last week. Another completion to Jonnu Smith. They stopped the clock, and then there was a touchdown to Kendrick Bourne. So that was great. That was the highlight for the offensive day. Basically, the last few minutes of practice was good.
Right.
Otherwise, there were run stuffs. There were incompletions galore. There was interceptions. It was just they could not get anything done. Not even just Mac, the running backs.
Yeah, no, it's the line. Okay, if the line isn't there and the hole isn't there for the cutback, then this is what's going to happen. Also, folks, the defense knows what's coming.
Yeah,
they know exactly what's coming. This isn't scrimmage. This is design plays that they know. Run it again. And if the offensive line isn't opening that holes and giving Ramondre room to cut back, then that's what's going to happen. Okay, when game action starts, they're not going to know what's coming.
Yeah, and they're not going to show you everything that they have in a practice, especially when you're an upcoming opponent. It might be in December, but like, we're not going to show you everything that we got up our sleeves. That's ridiculous. No. So the defense did end up doing well towards the end, as just like the offense. They ended with what would be 3 sacks by Judon, Uche, and Bentley. So the top 3 that we've talked about a million times, which is exciting. And Mac did end the day 13 of 25 in team drills. So definitely a struggle. But
not let's break out the shovels and bury the kid.
Yeah, and I think I kind of talked about this in what did I write about it today? I don't know. I everything gels together now. I'm just like can't remember. But I was writing that. Oh, no, I do remember now. Okay, I was like doing kind of like an interview or something to represent Patriots fans. And it was a Dolphins fan, and he was just asking me my perspective and what I think speaking on behalf of Patriots fans,
Mm-hmm.
about the season and how things have gone over the last couple years. And I think the biggest problem that we keep seeing, and this is one of them, is people aren't patient.
Right.
And they're expecting overnight success, and they're
Yep.
expecting everything with the Patriots to be exactly how it was with Tom Brady. And that, first of all, we don't have Tom Brady anymore.
No.
So that's not going to happen. And secondly, we all knew that the end of Tom Brady in New England was coming. And I know that it kind of came maybe unexpected to a lot of people, me included. And so maybe you weren't prepared for it. But like, this is what was going to happen no matter if Brady was on the team now and then retired next year. Like, this is what was going to happen with the Patriots. It's going to be growing pains. We're not going to be going to the playoffs and the Super Bowl every year. Like, I feel like we kind of need to learn to embrace this time.
You kids do. The kids do.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Yeah, no. I mean, and I'm talking about everybody. I'm not trying to put anybody down who is a millennial or whatever. You guys haven't dealt with this.
Yeah.
I'm 55 years old. I lived through the 70s and 80s. Mm-hmm. I am perfectly fine in waiting 4 or 5 years for this team to get back together. And then I am also, old and ready enough to know that it's not going to last.
Yeah,
it's not. You get 3 or 4 years where you can like actually strike gold. And if you're lucky, you do it once. And if you're super lucky and you have a great coach, maybe you can do it twice.
Yeah.
Okay. What we've witnessed over the last 20 years is unprecedented and will never happen in the NFL again. I'm sorry to inform you, Buffalo. It's a tight window. Yeah. So enjoy your second round exits while you can.
And I think that's part of the problem is like the blessing and the curse of social media, right? Because the blessing is I get to talk and meet with people like you and have a show, but the curse of it is people have opinions on everything and they make sure everyone knows it, and then it like affects people. So it's like, okay, well, this person is saying that the Patriots suck and they're never going to do this and that, and then they start believing it, and it's like, well, do you know how many other teams would kill to even have gotten to the playoffs last year with a rookie quarterback? Like, they went 10-7. They had a first round exit.
How do you think
but
the Bears
how many teams were sitting at home?
Right. How do you think the Bears would feel last year?
Yeah, and that's yeah, and we're lucky we still have Bill Belichick, as much as people want to discredit his success and give it to Brady. They went from a 7-9 team with a brand new quarterback, easily could have been more than that, but that's a conversation for a different day, to a rookie quarterback going 10-7 and going into the playoffs in his first season. So just, and that's why I'm saying, like, I'm a millennial, so I'm speaking to my fellow millennials and Gen Zers. You just have to embrace where we are, because, there's going to be moments where you kind of miss this. Like sometimes, like, I remember even with Brady, as much as I love Brady and what he did with the Patriots, sometimes I was like, when football was happening, you went into every game expecting a win. And it was like, that was almost more stressful, because then you were like, oh God, it's not happening. Like, what am I going to do? Or like, oh no, if we're not number one, what are we going to, it's like, that was really stressful. And now it's like, I can just watch a game. And if we lose, then we lose. Like, as long as you're looking better.
Look what's happened with the Colts since Eighthead left. This is not easy, people. It's not. Bill's building a team, and it's going to take some time. I just went over that little the past 5 years, and what he's had to overcome, and the people just don't want to take a step back and realize that it doesn't happen like this. It doesn't. It seemed like it because Bill came in here and then bang, 2001. But you don't get that lucky. You don't. You don't find Tom Brady at the 109th pick. More guys that being picked 100 are being cut, like Dalton Keene.
Yeah, and there's not been anybody that's been able to replicate anywhere near what they've done. Like we love to throw around, and I say we like it's me, but it's not me or you. But people love to throw the term GOAT around when it comes to like Patrick Mahomes and whoever else, and it's like, but they haven't even done anything close to what Brady did in the same
Right.
amount of time in their career. So like, what are we doing? Like,
Yeah.
this is a whole conversation. I could
It's
literally
all, you know,
dedicate like
everybody wants to anoint their guy
mhm.
as the guy, and
Yeah.
it does not happen. Didn't happen with Mahomes. It hasn't happened with Mahomes. You can't say that it has. It hasn't happened with discount double choke out there in Green Bay. It doesn't happen.
Mhm.
You know, there's one and only, and he's the one and only.
Yeah.
And just sit back and enjoy it. It's not going to happen with Allen in Buffalo either.
Yeah.
You know, just sit back and enjoy what you have right now. Stop trying to make somebody the next coming, because there's no next coming.
Yeah. I feel like I should just like have an episode where I just sit here and I rant about these types of things for like 2 hours.
That's
like,
it.
I don't know if anyone would listen or watch, but I would just be sitting here being like, Brady is the GOAT. Like just for 2 hours, because I'm so passionate about
But
it.
I mean, you can go down the line at everybody over the last 20 years from Ben Roethlisberger on down.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Ben Roethlisberger had a fantastic career. He's a Hall of Fame quarterback. You know, the Mannings had fantastic careers. They're Hall of Fame quarterback. These are all guys that Tom Brady laid to waste.
Yeah.
You know, with the exception of the giant Super Bowls. You know, other than that, just laid. Think about all of the guys from his generation that are going to end up in the Hall of Fame, and they can't touch him in any way, shape, or form. No. Drew Brees should not be mentioned in the same context, in the same chapter, never mind same page as Tom Brady, and he is a Hall of Fame quarterback. He is a great quarterback. It does not happen, people, and stop trying to make it happen. And for God's sakes, Patriots fans, just, you know, take your foot off the gas if it doesn't go down in year 2 or year 3.
Yeah, well, and you know, I've said it before, for a different reason, but it's unfair to put those expectations on such a young team and a young quarterback, because then you're expecting perfection early on when you shouldn't be expecting that, no matter what we're talking about in life. Anything brand new that you're doing, it's impossible. You're not going to come out perfect. So you're setting yourself up to be disappointed if it's Super Bowl or bust. It's like, okay, but embrace the path, the journey. If you want a Super Bowl, then you're going to have to move on and pick a different team, because the Patriots aren't going to be doing that like every single year right now.
That's it. People stop back and ask how Steve and I, when we're doing One Patriots Place, how smooth it is and how natural it seems. We've been doing this for a decade, almost 15 years. That's why. I mean, you can't sit down in these chairs and do what Steve and I do, or do what Mark Schofield and some of his partners do, because we've been doing this stuff forever. Yeah. And that's just it. Look at how much better this show is than the one that we did just a few weeks ago.
I know. Well, and I think what's funny is that it's like, for me, I get put into the category of being like the negative Nancy's and whatever, but it's funny because I'm like, I feel like I have an older.
You're a realist. You're a realist.
That's how and that's just, and I've said this, and I'm sure you're gonna be like, I've heard Sara say this a million times, but I am such an optimist when it comes to Patriots football, to the point of it being a problem. But if you you know, outside of that, everything else in my life, I'm the biggest pessimist probably you'll ever meet, because that's just how my brain works. So that's just how I've always been with football. You just accept it for what it is and you move on, because I would let it affect me so much that it was like ruining my day. And I'm like, I can't do this anymore. It's just football. Like, it'll be fine.
That day, if the Patriots lose, my family leaves the house.
Oh, no, like, depending on the game. Yeah, depending on the game, I would have to like go take some time to myself for like at least like an hour maybe. And then I'm like, okay, I'm fine. It's fine. I'm good. Like, I just avoid Twitter.
We're on to Cincinnati.
Yeah, exactly. That's the mindset. That's the mindset. So let's talk about Max. So I told you a little bit ago that he spoke to, oh my goodness, WEEI after practice today. My microphone has a mind of its own. And they asked him about today's practice specifically. He said it's been a challenge. It's hot out here. Guys, they practiced outside in Vegas. I promise you it's very hot. We're just trying to work things out. It was a good day. So they ended on a good day. And I think Andrews even mentioned it. I don't have the quote, but when he was speaking to the media, he said he was happy that they ended the day that way. And then this is the quote when they asked him about having to deal with a new play caller in only his second season. He said, "It's nothing new to me. I have to do what they tell me to do and execute the offense. That's what really good quarterbacks do." And he mentioned that he had 3 OCs at Alabama, just like you said. So I think that is a concern. And I think I've mentioned it too, that like, yeah, because the NFL is different. But I think Buddy and I were talking about it on Friday, and maybe me and Tanya on Saturday, that it's not Mac Jones being incapable of learning, dealing with new coaches and learning a new offense. It's outside forces that are impacting how he's playing. So it's like, he has everything there, but if you're trying to implement a new offense and then you're also trying to bring these coaches in who are also learning it, and then you're trying to do this and you're trying to do that, that's impacting him. But it's not he can't get it.
Right. It's a lot of the frustration is him being bombarded by the media after practice, after every single practice. Why isn't this working? Why isn't that working? Why aren't you guys all on the same page yet? You've been doing this for 2 whole weeks. What's wrong? Okay, it gets frustrating. And every time something doesn't go right on the field, he knows in the back of his head that these idiots are going to be asking him these same bloody questions after he walks off the field.
Yeah. And that's what is always interesting to me about the media, because it's like, talking about Super Bowls, when one team loses a Super Bowl, they want to immediately get a comment from them. And I'm like, but I understand that that's your job, but like, human to human, can you not imagine how they're feeling right now? Can you imagine that they probably don't want to be speaking to you at this moment? Like, let them go figure it out.
She's defending Cam Newton right now.
I'm defending. Yeah, he can be one, but exactly. But it's like, can't imagine.
Cam's best moment wasn't after that Super Bowl.
No, it wasn't. And I wouldn't defend that. But like we were just saying, like after a Patriots loss, that maybe it's just a regular season game. It's like, don't talk to me for an hour, And it's like, then even with a practice, it's like he knows that the practice didn't go well, and he's very aware of how every practice up to now has been. So. You don't need to kick a man when he's down.
Showers after a loss are always longer than showers after a win.
Yeah. Well, and then, then their questions just add to it. So
yeah, that's it. Maybe if I stay in the shower a little while longer, they'll all leave and I won't have to answer any questions.
Yeah, I know. If only that was true. So he did go on to talk about just the practices in general. He said, sometimes I want it to go better, but it's more about the process, watching the film and getting better with still a young offense. Sometimes you have to realize that's what we are right now. We're going to figure it out. It just takes time. So basically everything we've been saying this entire hour. But I think it's good to hear that from him because, I mean, he's being realistic. He's setting realistic expectations for him. And I think for a long time, we got used to hearing the things that Brady would say, where he's like, it's just one game at a time. And you're like, that's BS.
Yeah.
We know that's BS from you because you're like obsessing over week 16 when you're in week 2. So, but I believe it more so when it's coming from Mac, because he just strikes me as that kind of guy,
Yeah. He does, and he does. There was talk today that he's pacing on the sidelines. Paces on the sidelines when he makes a bad play during a game too. That's just the type of guy that he is. Okay, he's going over in his head what he did wrong or what he could do better, what the team could do better. Chris Godwin's got a good question up here.
Okay,
Murph,
for you?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Do you think this will be TB12's last season in Tampa?
I do.
Like in Tampa or in general?
Just in Tampa. I think this is it.
Where do you think he's going to go?
I believe he's going to try to wiggle his way to San Francisco. I don't think the quarterback situation is settled out there and by any way, shape, or form. And I believe he's going to want to end his career in front of the home crowd and have those guys that booed him at the 50th anniversary of the Super Bowl cheering him on. I really think that's the destination. I don't think it's Las Vegas. I don't buy into any of that Dana White garbage that came out this week. I believe that, he might have said something to Tom and to Rob at an MMA event or something. And wouldn't this be cool? He's not making any deals in the NFL.
Yeah.
Just stop.
Yeah.
Okay. PT Barnum, just stop.
It would be really interesting if Brady did end up there because, the Patriots kept him over Jimmy. This is that mindset, right? They kept Brady over Jimmy. They sent Jimmy to the Niners. Jimmy loses his job to the second year, and then he is losing, going somewhere else, and then Brady comes in and takes Jimmy's job again. Can you imagine?
Right.
Dang. What a ruthless goat. My goodness. But that would be interesting. I mean, I don't know. I can talk about Brady in a different way.
I'm not a Trey Lance believer.
I know a lot of people are excited about him, though.
Yeah, I know.
Niners fans are, but
well, they should be. They got a new quarterback. It's hope and well-being, and Jimmy's been locked out of the facility and everything. But believe me, if it doesn't work out this year, and Tom comes and knocking again, they're probably going to say okay.
Yeah.
The problem then was Jimmy's already under contract for $28 million a year. How am I going to pay you, 30?
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I mean,
we'll see.
Time will tell. I'm sure we'll all hear about it every second of every day next year.
If the right situation comes up, he'll take it.
Oh yeah.
Okay, put it that way. I just think that the time, like I said, it's a small window. It's a very small window, and the window in Tampa is closing.
Yeah, well, and he's 45 now.
Yeah,
so.
And again, 45, and we said this at 39.
I know.
So
who
knows?
That's crazy. So, what are your post-practice comments and concerns, or do you have any concerns? Because they do have another practice tomorrow with the Raiders, game on Friday.
I really need to see this running game get going. I really need to see this entire offense is built on running the football and play action and those rollout play actions. And if it does not happen, if it's not looking better in the next few days, you can probably see this offense being scrapped and we're going back to the future.
You know what would be interesting? A conspiracy theory. What if I know, right? It just came in my head. So if it's dumb, we'll just ignore it.
Good share.
What if this whole time it's been like, oh, we're implementing a new offense, and Belichick's like, yeah, let's roll this out and whatever, and then they purposely were trying to look bad in practices, just so when they were done before the season, they're like, okay, let's do what we've been doing when no one was around. And then they start the beginning of the season, and everyone's like, whoa, where did this come from? We didn't see this in practice or preseason, and Belichick's like,
I love it.
That's my Belichick conspiracy, because other people are like, he's tanking. Right. I'm like, I'm not on that conspiracy theory.
That doesn't happen. Bill Belichick is incapable of tanking.
Chris Goodwin likes my theory. I appreciate it.
Well, we do too. I do too.
And it just came into my head now. So, but that would be ideal if you're like worried.
Anything to get me back to the Earhart Perkins freaking, system that worked here for 20 years is fantastic with me. If you guys, forget, the greatest defensive effort in the Super Bowl ever was the Rams and the Patriots a few years ago when Bill shut this down. He shut the system down.
And what's funny about that Super Bowl is obviously it's not the most exciting one that people are going to remember.
Right.
But I'm the type that doesn't really pace during a game or something when I'm nervous. I'll just like sit there, and just like, in that one I had a notebook. And I was scribbling on it the entire game, just like to get my anxiety out. I was like, I'm just going to scribble on this. You should have seen it. I should have kept it and framed it or something.
Right.
But that one, I feel like I was so much more nervous in that game than maybe 52, 51, whatever, because of the defense being, I'm like, one score drastically changes this game. And yet people are like, it was so boring. And I'm like, guys, if they have one touchdown, that could be the one touchdown of the game and we're done.
I love that game. It is probably my second favorite Super Bowl after what number was Carolina. That it was 30, a fantastic,
30.
Son of a sea cow.
I'm gonna search it. Patriots.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't want to. Is it?
See, we're honest here, people. We cheat. We
30,
use notes.
Is it 38?
Yeah, maybe.
I'm gonna have to look up Roman numerals. I don't know what some of them are. What number is this? I think it's 38. Yeah, 38. Yeah.
XVIII. That's 38.
XXXVIII. Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, so 38. Yeah. See, and I don't remember those as vividly because I was a wee lad, you know.
4. You were 4.
No, I was older than that. But yeah, I
have T-shirts older than Sarah.
Yeah, my mom does too.
Yeah.
Oh, see, look, Chris told us it's 38.
Yeah,
yes, thank you. I thought I could figure out the
Always
Roman
count
numeral.
on Chris for something.
Yeah.
There was that was probably the most exciting Super Bowl for me, was the fact that it was such a defensive game in the first half, and then the second half it gave you the opposite when these guys just went down the field on each other and scored and scored and scored. It was a beautiful game. So it was probably my second favorite one. The first will always be the first, and that was it. In 2001, I woke up that morning and said to myself that if the Patriots win just one Super Bowl, I'll die a happy man. And now I've got 6. So please, sit back and wonder why, folks, that I'm just not losing my shit. Excuse me, over this. I'm just not losing my mind over this.
I know. And that's why it's like, I think to be in the mindset that I am, especially on Twitter and, the age group in which people are on Twitter that interact with me, I think other than my obvious optimism, I think I annoy people too, because I do have this like older generation mindset, but I didn't live through all of the stuff that you've lived through. You know what I mean? But it's like, oh, my cat is.
Yeah, it's not Hey Yo Foxboro unless we get a special cameo by the cat.
Yep.
What's your cat's name?
Her name is Remy.
Remy?
Yep.
Like Jerry?
Yes. Not for that reason. I got her from my friend who couldn't have her anymore, so she already had a name.
Okay.
But yeah.
And we all know cats recognize their names, so you have to keep it.
Yes. So that's why I haven't kept it. Or I have kept it. But all right, well, now she's just staring at me. Okay.
We're in overtime.
I do want to thank you for being on the show again, super last
always.
minute, especially when I changed it. I think, we always have good conversation. Oh, Chris Goodwin's like, hello.
We do.
And obviously you'll be on again. I don't have a guest for Saturday, so if you're available,
give me a ring. Let me know. And if you need somebody on Saturday, I'm here for you. Okay.
I appreciate it. So we do have more shows tonight. The night shift will be live tonight at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. I had to translate all of this into Eastern, and I'll tell you that's not easy.
It's not.
One Patriots Place was supposed to be live today, but they had technical difficulties, so that is moved to tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. So make sure you guys are up and Adam.
Matt Chatham will be joining us tomorrow. Steve and Claire, myself, Matt, the professor, and we're really going to start breaking down a lot of the stuff and the overreaction from a lot of people in town. Yeah,
I know. That's Matt is good for that too. That's great. I love his tweets for that reason. I'm like, I feel seen. I feel heard here. And then Patriots at Raiders pregame with me and Buddy is Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern, because the game is actually at 8:15 Eastern this week because they're in Vegas. And Hey Yo Foxboro will be back on Saturday at a time to be determined and a guest to be determined at this time. So a lot. Yeah, Murph can be. Yeah, I mean, that's fine with me because I have no one set up. So
bottom of the barrel. You need somebody.
Hey, I asked you first.
I know. I'm just teasing.
So thank you for being with me today. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you. Murph will see you guys tomorrow. I will see you on Friday.
Thank you,
Bye, guys.
E2G. Hit that subscribe button, people.
Yes. Don't forget, follow us on Twitter, YouTube, everything. E2G Sports, all of that. I forget. I need to get better about that. But anyway, bye, guys.
Post-it notes.